Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Kyle. Welcome back to another episode of DIY Buildouts. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how you can frame in any bathroom mirror that is currently unframed using just some standard materials you can buy at the big box stores for like 20 or 30 bucks. So if you want to see the before, here it is, and I'll show you the after. So if you want to see how I do this, stay tuned. So normally this project is really straightforward. If you have one freestanding mirror, it's 4 corners. You could just put a 45-degree cut in each one. Boom, 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 4 pieces, you're done. Mine's a little bit more complex in that I have 3 mirrors and they're all connected. So as you can see, there's this mirror here, then it goes into a joint here, and it continues all the way around. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fashion one long piece that goes around the curvature of that on the bottom and the top, and then I'm gonna run vertical frame edges here, and let's see, right over there.
Now, I highly recommend using a larger framing material than I ended up using. This was a 4-inch board that I had originally bought. I was excited until I realized the electrical outlet on the edge was either going to make me notch into it or I was going to have to mount it off of the counter. Neither of these was going to work for me, so I went with a smaller framing material in the end. Now with these 2 pivots, I had a 22.5-degree angle that I had to cut. I used that larger board I had bought as a test run to make sure that it was 22.5 degrees, and after a little testing, voila, it was perfect. Okay guys, so now I'm out here in my garage and I'm going to do the cutting now for the material that I chose. I went ahead and I did some bigger cuts at Home Depot when I was buying this. I got this synthetic like PVC vinyl material rather than real wood because this comes already painted and ready to go. I don't have to sand it, prime it, and paint it. So it costs a little bit more, but it's not much because this is not that big of material to begin with. So I went ahead and I cut 4 boards like this at 59 inches. So now I have some boards ready to install. These are going to be the long pieces on the bottom and the top of my 2 biggest mirrors. And I also cut the pieces for the middle mirror as well. So all of that cutting was already done at the big box store. And really I only did that because they sell this by the linear foot, and cutting off those pieces at the store made sure I didn't have to buy extra material. Then I came home and I just threw it in the trash. So if your store allows you to do that, I consider taking advantage of it. So now let's jump down here to the miter box, make some angled cuts, and install these bad boys. Here we go. So here we have the miter box. This thing is actually really cool. It only cost $15 and it included the unit itself, the saw to cut with, and a couple of these peg holders so that you can actually secure pieces in place. The one reason I really enjoy this box is because it includes more than just 90 degrees for a cut and the standard ones which have 45-degree cuts as well. The really cool part about this one is it has the 22.5-degree cut, which in this case is going to be perfect for making my design work with the 3 mirrors because those mirrors are on a 22.5-degree basis. This also has a 45-degree cut, so if you wanted to do some really cool box miters, you could do that as well, all with this bad boy. And you don't need a $300 miter saw or $600 miter saw to make these cuts, especially on material that's this small. A $15 miter box like this with everything you need is all you're going to need for a project of this scale. So consider getting one of these as well. I'll put a link in the description below for the one I got. Okay guys, now this is kind of the more useful part of the video. I'm going to show you some of the things that I made mistakes on so that you can do a better job if you were doing a complex project like this. All right, item number 1 is I had a metal liner along the bottom that was holding the mirror kind of in place. And so when I went and I made an S across the back of the board, you can see the adhering spot was only on that metal and not on the mirror itself. So in the reflection over here, you can see the caulking or the adhesive, but as you go down here and then you see like my second and third boards, you can see I only put a straight line where the metal strip below the mirror was going to be in contact with the wood. So here I have a much cleaner look. There's no caulking visible, but on my first board, you can see with the S, the material above the metal band is showing. So that's one thing I wish I would have done differently. Two, the corners here, because I chose a rounded design on one side, I should have done a 45-degree cut across here, and that way the corner would have been continuous. This is kind of a hard break, but I'm gonna fix this with wood putty and sand it and paint it. So this will eventually go away or look much better, but again, that's something I could have done better in hindsight. And finally, guys, the reason I had to use such thin stripping for this particular application was because of this electrical outlet. Now, if you don't have an electrical outlet that you're trying to work around, obviously I didn't want the trim to hang off the edge of the countertops, so I had to go with a thin strip that was gonna be here. You know, honestly, the design is okay. I would have preferred a little bigger board for the trimming, but given that the entire project was kind of reliant on that one electrical outlet being in the way, I had to do what I had to do. So for this is kind of what the finished project looks like. Excuse all the mess on the countertop, but it definitely looks a lot better having a little trim on the mirror all the way around compared to when it was just a frameless design. All right, now some of the things you're gonna need for this project, obviously you're gonna need a caulking gun. I used the Gorilla Glue construction adhesive. This stuff was awesome. It held the panels in, it says 30 seconds. It almost held them instantaneously. By the time I was done putting this on the board and then picking the board up and putting it on the mirror, it was able to adhere relatively quickly. So again, this bottle I think was like $8. You'll need a caulking gun, which could cost a couple bucks. I used the Stanley Miter Box. If you have a miter saw, you can use that. But this bad boy was 15 bucks, and it came with everything you needed to use it for, like saw, the pegs, everything. Also, you're gonna need some wood filler to fill in the seams because this is white. I got the white wood filler. They have natural as well, so it just depends on what you're going for. This wasn't entirely necessary, but I used it, as you can see up here. I used frog tape, painter's tape basically, no residue tape that's gonna hold it in place while I walk away from it so that it doesn't sag down and droop. So you can use this is completely optional. Okay guys, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching. If you don't mind, before you leave, give me a thumbs up on the video below. Also consider hitting that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon as well if you wanna be notified of future projects when I upload them. All right guys, that's all for this one. Have a wonderful day.